It's so great to talk to you. I've been watching your work for so many years, and you've been a huge inspiration to me, and not just Asian people, but like people in general, I think. So,
Thank
like,
you. Thank you so
just
much.
amazing stuff here. So, The Prosecutor is this film that you act and star in. What is
Yeah,
the most challenging part of acting and directing at the same time?
I've been doing it for the longest time. I'll take this opportunity to correct a few things on IMDb, where some of the information is not 100% correct. I directed my first two films back in 1997, Ballistic Kiss, Legend of the Wolf. Then later on, uh, I I help direct scenes here and there, but sometimes I don't put my name out there, right? For example, recent years, I actually directed several films. For example, the movie called Enter the Fat Dragon, as well as Chasing the Dragon with Annie Lau and Wong Jing. I directed 90%, pretty much 80-90% of the film for Chasing the Dragon, right? And I helped my late friend Benny Chan, Raging Fire, to especially he was ill uh, toward toward his last few months of his unfortunate before he passed away. So I was helped. I do a lot of behind the the scene kind of work from day one. When I was helping Yuen Ping as an action choreographer, I actually helped him set up shots and just tons of work all the time. I love editing. I always edit my own scenes, so I always have to have that experience as a as a director. So I don't find any kind of. In fact, I think it's better for my creativities because uh, when you flush out a scene, you can only be accurately presenting your images or how you tell the story if you are allowed to shoot it yourself, or else something is not right. You know what I'm saying? And I think that goes with a lot of other film peers in the industry as well. Nowadays, you see actor being a producer or sometimes take on the director chair, so where they can bring their vision the most accurate way. But yes, I've been doing it for a while, so I don't find any. In fact, I enjoy directing sometimes a lot more than acting. Maybe I've been acting for so many years that I'm a little bit I don't find that kind of motivation as much as being a director. When I direct, I really it opens me up to so endless of possibilities. So when I'm only acting, sometimes I find a restrained sort of I'm being cornered, you know. So okay, I do my best within the frame of this character, but yeah, I do enjoy directing.
Yeah, I can tell because you did such a great job with directing. I knew that you had directed before, but I
Yeah.
hadn't seen your work here until The Prosecutor,
Yeah.
which
Thank you.
was
Thank you.
insane. It was so, so incredible because you talk. I also watched the directing with Donnie
Yes. Yeah.
Yen,
Yeah.
because you talk so much about the craft of
Yeah.
filmmaking and
Yeah. Yeah.
I realized how knowledgeable you are about this, which is really, really impressive. And they said that you talk about how shooting an action movie is still
Yeah.
shooting a movie and not just
Yeah.
shooting action. So,
Yeah. And yes.
yeah. Right. And I wanted to ask, is like when you're directing like these dialogue scenes that take place in these
Yeah.
rooms,
Yeah.
how do you make sure that audiences are as interested in these scenes as they are in all these fight scenes?
Number one, you're absolutely right. I think for the longest time, action movie is being cliche into the perspective uh, for audiences. When they think of action movies, they only think of this. But action movie is just part of uh, one of the elements that makes up a story. Storytelling, part of storytelling is just okay. Action movie is a genre. This movie, there's tons of action, but at the end of the day, you still have to tell a story. You still have to convince the audience. You still have to get the audience to emotionally attach to your story in order to make it work. You can blow up buildings. You can have a full-out shootout. You can start fighting from the first shots to the end shots. If the audience emotion are not engaged to your story, none of them are going to work. So if you think of maybe SPL, I don't know if you watch SPL or Ip Man, the audience are emotionally attached. So my key is always when I choreograph something or when I shoot something, and now ultimately when I direct something, first and foremost, I need the audience to to be inside my story. So when I take them on an emotional ride, I know that it's gonna work. So yeah, and sorry, what's the second question again?
It was mainly just about like how do you make sure that those courtroom scenes, how do you
Okay,
get those
I
into
think it's also pacing. Actually, courtroom dialogue scenes or physical movements from A to B, right? It's all about expressing yourself, right? If you think about storytelling, what does storytelling mean? You're conveying a message. He's telling your audience, your listener, something, right? So it's all about pacing, how you give a speech. From I'm using speech as an example. How do you make that speech exciting? How do you make that speech engaging? And that's how you make a movie. You make a movie 2 hours. How do you tell a story? So it's all about pacing. Like maybe I have an advantage as well because I'm an actor. I've been acting. I understand. You say these lines, how would the audience perceives these lines, right? So constantly, you gotta make those decisions on a daily basis. Every day, every shot, you make those decisions. Pacing. It's like music composition. How do you make these notes, right? How do you feel by experience as well as by instance? These notes, how these notes are gonna work, if they're gonna work, where are you gonna position them?
I can definitely see that because I was really invested in every single scene in this film and I want to also talk about your stunt work in this movie because it's phenomenal and you've been committing so
Yeah,
well the past several decades.
yeah.
And I think a lot of people, like myself included, are wondering how much of these stunts do you perform yourself and how much is like a stunt
I
double?
try to do as much as possible. You know, as I'm getting older, uh, it's harder for me. Not not in terms of being able to do these movements, right? But the recovering uh, period will be a lot longer. When I was young, I can shoot, I can throw the kicks. It's 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night until the hours of wrapping the shoot per day, right? And you go home, take a shower, and you come back, and you continue the same shots, right? But nowadays, like you fight, you punch, and you get exhausted. Uh, and then I have a lot of old injuries, so it takes a lot longer to recover. It might take me weeks. Like I hurt my knees during one of those scenes running around, but you know the warriors that within me and the dedicated filmmaker, director that I have to take responsibility of moving the set, moving the productions going forward. You gotta just bite the dust. You bite your lips and you continue to do it, right? But hell, man, you take you therapists, all kinds of pain that brings upon you, But I try to do as much as possible because I do believe in the art of the real the, the fine art of filmmaking to me, right? Is that how do you bring these performances to as close to realism as possible so the audience believes in you, rather it is an emotionally performance or physical performance. I truly believe in that. I don't believe in CGI. Yes, modern technology, you do use CGI, to enhance your art, right? But you don't want it to depends on the technologies to overtake what is the origin of the intention of making these arts, right? Is all about emotional expressions, right? Human expressions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that works so well about a Donnie Yen movie because I've seen so much of your films, whether it's like, the Ip Man movies, for example. I've seen all of them and like I never for 1 second think that it's someone else. I always think
Yeah,
that it's you.
yeah,
And because it
yeah.
is, and that's like what
Yeah,
one of
it is. It
yeah,
is. I try to do
right.
as much as possible because a lot of times, even I have the greatest stunt double falling. I mean, I might save the risk of falling off buildings because I let the young guys to do that, right? But
Yeah.
when it comes to in your face, when you see me move, uh, no one can resemble you, right? That you are who you are. People come to watch you, doing your thing, right? So, yeah, I try to do as much as possible and try to stay in shape and stay healthy and no injuries, so I can. I'm just more cautious these days than when I was young. When I was younger days, okay, let's do it. Jump off the buildings, 500 kicks. But now it's like, okay, wait a minute. Let me warm up a little bit. Let me do some split. Let me stretch a little bit. You're
Yeah.
a lot more as you get older. You're a little bit more cautious.
Of course, of course. Yeah. No, but like I feel like I always know when it's you. For example, like
Yeah,
when you were announced for John Wick 4, I was like, he is perfect for this
yeah,
series.
yeah.
And then when
Thank
you
you.
did like you did the chain punch, I
Yeah,
recognized that and I was like, that's it.
yeah,
And I was
yeah,
so happy. I
yeah,
wanted to like scream
yeah.
in my seat. And
Thank
like I wanted to ask because Caine is such a great
you.
character and I've wanted to see more of him for so
Yeah,
long.
yeah,
And I mean, there's that Caine spin-off movie. Like, have
yeah.
you started filming yet? What can you tell us about that?
We are in the developing stage. I just had another interview with another interviewer, and he, I wasn't supposed to share this, but he told me he just had a talk with Chad, and Chad kind of spilled something to him. so, I guess, I guess I'm okay to share a little bit. We are in a developing stage, and we'll see what happens. I believe in the timing and the fate, and yeah, I they want to do it. I'm up for it, and we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm up for it as well, yeah. And I also want to ask because American audiences, I mean, we've seen you in John Wick 4, we've seen you in
Yeah,
Rogue One, Ip Man. Like, is there
yeah.
a movie that perhaps did really well in Hong Kong that you wish that American audiences had gotten to see and that you want them to be able to interact with
You
you?
know, I don't have a particular a, say a role or a movie in mind. But I do want the American audience to see the versatility of Asian actor or Chinese actor or me in this particular case. Uh, Fortunately, I've been given nice roles in the past decade. I was in Star Wars, Rogue One, and as the success of John Wick with the Caine character. But and Caine character, given uh, credits to Chad, he was really open to accepted a lot of my recommendation of how to shape this character. In the original script, it was still more in a very cliche type of Asian character, right? And I wanted him to see to 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 show, hey, we have a sense of humor, we can be cool. So I just want that there will be more opportunities to showcase what we can do as an actor, as a performer. I think it's really important. And I love to have that opportunities if I'm allowed to knock down doors to show examples. Caine is a really good example. So I was uh, praised for the work for Caine, not only because Caine and the movie itself, John Wick, was a very successful. movie, but what I did for Chinese actors, I believe, when I came back to Hong Kong, all the producers like, oh, you really broke the stereotype. You really did something that no other Chinese actor ever done in the past, where, there are other actors who've done roles, they were successful, the movie was successful, but the role itself was still very much in the cliche area, but you actually broke grounds. But I see that there are still tons of work I need to do to continue to, you know, to hopefully pave the way for younger actors. Like, oh, if Donnie Yen did it, perhaps I could do it too.
Absolutely. And I hope to continue seeing you do that in more movies in the future.